Welcome and thanks for joining us for another episode of Code Girls on Air, a podcast exploring all things technology, female leadership, careers, education, and topics within the nonprofit sector. On this episode, we interviewed Nancy Schlepp, who is the VP of Communications and Government Relations at Sandfire Resources. So join Nancy and me to hear more of her story. Welcome, Nancy. Thank you for joining us on Code Girls on Air today.
Good morning. How are you? It's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. I'm doing good. Do you think you could start by introducing yourself, then telling us a little bit about your background and your career?
Sure. My name is Nancy Schlepp, and I grew up on a ranch in the small town of Ringling, Montana, where I went to a one-room school and high school in White Sulphur Springs, and then Montana State University. And we still live on that ranch. My husband and I own it now, but my career has mainly been in government relations, mostly federal, and in international trade. But several years ago, I was a county commissioner in my county, Mark County, when a mine was coming in, and I was working a lot with the company and was offered a job. So I resigned from being a county commissioner and 11 years ago took a job with Black Butte Copper, helping permit a copper mine in White Sulphur Springs, the first copper mine in Montana in 40 years. So
Wow.
that's what I've been working on, and it's been great. I've fallen in love with mining, and I can't wait to tell you more about that.
Yeah, thank you. So you started in relations and then you made the shift. Did you always want to kind of do what you've been doing later in your career, or did you enjoy the relations side more?
I love politics. I absolutely love the way the world works. I love economics, so that's really been the driving factor. Always knowing that we were going to be in Montana and living on the ranch, so I had to do whatever I could remotely, and I traveled a
Yeah.
lot. But bringing a mind to my community and what that means. For our economy and also what that means for our state and doing things environmentally better was a real challenge I could not pass up. And so a lot of what I do now still has pieces of what I used to do.
Hmm.
And then a lot of permitting work with the agencies in Montana, mostly the Department of Environmental Quality and the Department of Natural Resources.
Oh, okay, nice, nice.
Mhm.
So what did you get your degree in school?
So my degree is in agriculture, business, and economics, so not
Oh,
mining.
okay.
Yeah, that's
No.
what my degree in.
Yeah,
hmm
and so then what made you take that degree and go into government relations from there?
I always just felt very strongly that we needed good voices in the natural resource sector to talk about what was going on day to day on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And what I found is that we also needed female voices in that realm. When I started my career, a lot of times I was the only female in a room full of men helping make those decisions. So it really was kind of a new frontier 30 years ago for women in that area. And I really feel that a lot of things that affect our everyday life happen at the national level. So it's important to understand how that works and how all the pieces go together.
Yeah, definitely. So what surprised you most when you were starting out in your field?
I'll take that from uh, two perspectives, the short term and long term. Long term, when I started right out of college, I think what surprised me the most is the want by everybody of true information.
Hmm.
And not really trying to political either spectrum, just
Yeah.
really giving good solid information and sometimes scientific information of what's going on in the ground in agriculture, in forestry, in mining. There's a real hunger for that out there for solid information that is transparent. um, Short term, when I started in mining, I think what most surprised me is that scientifically, there's a lot of really great things that are happening in mining. And the mining industry has not been great about sharing that with the public. So some of the legacy issues that people worry about have been addressed and are completely changed. But as an industry, we have not been great about communicating that to the public.
Yeah, can you give me an example of something like that?
Yeah, I definitely can. So modern mining is all about protecting water. So we work with a lot of scientists, a lot of hydrologists, a lot of soil scientists, folks that do water monitoring and fisheries monitoring. And what I can tell you is were some legacy issues in mining for sure with acid mine drainage and how things happened on that front. But you do things so differently now that that can completely be taken care of in a scientific manner so that there's almost zero risk going forward. And that's probably the biggest thing is the way we've been able to keep rivers clean recently.
Yeah, that's wonderful, and definitely not something that I feel like is talked about very much
No.
publicly. So what, in your opinion, what's one personality trait or strength somebody would need to have to be successful in your current job?
Thank you. So my current job is I'm vice president of our company,
Right.
and under that umbrella falls all permitting and legal, HR, admin. So it's kind of a variety of hats
Yeah.
at this point. And I would say the best trait I would think of, sorry, I'm thinking on the go here, is
You're good.
being open.
Mm,
And one of the things, especially for women, is grabbing opportunities. We have a tendency, even though we are scientists and we are business folks and are engineers, to really hesitate to take on the next level. And there's a lot of studies that go out there saying that, men apply for a job if they even meet 20% of the standard on an application, and women want to make sure they meet 99.9%
great.
of the application. And so just being open to opportunity. If
Mhm.
somebody opens a door for you, don't be afraid to take it if it looks interesting to you.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to take a chance and put yourself out there because it's very rewarding.
hmm No, I think that's great, being open and being
Yes.
open-minded too, to go into new fields. So can
Yes.
I actually ask the same question for when you were in government relations? Because that's kind of a different job than
Yeah.
you are as a VP.
Yeah. On that front, I think that just being really true to yourself and being really honest always. One time that you're not truthful, you lose credibility.
Mm-hmm.
And so the best piece of advice I was given early in my career was by Carl O's. At that point, Carl was the lieutenant governor of Montana, and he
Mm-hmm.
was married to my cousin. And when I was very first starting, he said to me, Nancy, never leave your box. And I didn't know what he meant by that because I'm like, box, I think outside the box. I
Yeah.
like to do things outside the box. And he's like, no, your moral compass box. He's like,
Mm-hmm.
always make sure that any decision you make is inside of that and that you never um, leave it or are not true to yourself, because the second you do, it's so easy to do it again and again. And that was probably the best advice that really has guided me my entire career, because I make sure to listen to that base and be true to what I tell people.
Yeah. No, definitely. Did you have other mentors other than him that kind of helped you along your path?
Absolutely. I had a couple of great mentors, and I thank you for bringing up mentors, Makayla, because that's one thing I truly believe in is always be a mentor to somebody and always have a mentor, at
Mhm.
least one in each direction. Even at your age, you can mentor your peers or somebody younger and have a mentor or two. But I would say I've had three great mentors in my life. One was Ellen Engstead. She worked for Wood Products. She was a great friend. And she definitely challenged me to do more
Mm.
and be more. I remember her taking me to lunch as a young professional in the Montana Capitol and saying, "You have potential. I want to guide you." And it meant the world to me that somebody thought that I had potential. Um, and then one of my bosses, his name was John Shanahan. He was great also. He had just such positive energy that really got things done and helped get things through the door and making sure the right people and the right scientists and engineers were in the room. And I really appreciated him. And then probably the third one, and I sought her out, is Dorothy Bradley. Dorothy Bradley is a dear friend of mine. She is the first woman in Montana that ran for governor, and she ran on the Democrat side of the ticket. And when I was a county commissioner, I was a Republican. So we're on different parties, but really a solid person that I appreciate her feedback. And so that those have been the three major mentors in my life.
Yeah, that's incredible. I'm glad you had so many wonderful mentors, and it definitely is important to be a mentor to somebody else
Yes.
too. So it's kind of switching gears here. Can you tell us kind of what a day in your life looks like now?
Yeah, thanks. A day in my life is fairly random. The beginning of the week is a little more structured, but I start every um, Monday trying to make sure I answer all questions that have come in over the weekend, setting up meetings, attending meetings. Mondays and Tuesdays are pretty heavy on meetings. We have operations meetings. We have our leadership structure meetings, really trying to make sure everything's moving in the same direction and that we don't work in silos and everybody has the
Yeah.
same information across the company. Um, the other part of my week is usually spent traveling, meeting with other folks, giving out information. This week is kind of an interesting week where one of the meetings will be with the Department of Defense. I will be also meeting with some legislative candidates that want to take a tour. We give a lot of tours of our project and try to be transparent and really let people know what's going on.
Yeah.
So that's going on right now. So I don't know if I have a typical week, but yeah, usually I always spend an hour at night answering all emails that came in that day, so nothing's outstanding. So it can be intense,
Yeah.
but it's good.
Yeah, for sure. And with all the different hats you wear too, I'm sure that it's not just
Yes,
one easy answer.
yes.
So do you actually go on site very often for tours or reasons
Yeah,
otherwise?
anytime we have a tour, they're welcome to come on site. And so, yeah, we're not in production yet or even construction. That'll happen next year with our mine. We'll be in construction next year. And I think you visited with my coworker
I
Erin.
did, yeah.
She's more on the technical side of things, so she's gonna have more of that day-to-day basis. But yeah, we definitely take love to take folks on site to see what really happens in mining today.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So with all of the different hats you wear and all the different jobs you do in your job, what would you say is your favorite part of it?
Oh gosh. My favorite part of the job is the people.
Hmm.
We work with fantastic people from our interns. We had four interns this summer, to our senior staff. It is just really good people, and that's why I fell in love with mining across the board. Is anywhere I go, the folks are really dedicated to safety and environmental quality and making sure things are done right. And that's
Mhm.
not something you always hear in the media, but that's something
Right.
I've found every place I've gone in this job and all the travel I've done.
Yeah, no, Erin said something similar. She was like, I just love the people.
Yes.
That's wonderful. I wouldn't have expected that. Not that I thought they
Yeah.
were bad people, but I wouldn't have expected
Right.
that friendly
Right.
of an environment in the mining
Yes.
community. So you also talked about how you were kind of in the minority being a woman. Can you talk about the Women Leading Montana Foundation that you're a part of?
Yeah, so that unfortunately has not had much activity since COVID, but we were very active pre-COVID, and Women Leading Montana was a group that we organized trying to really promote women,
Yeah.
both in the workforce and those that choose to stay at home, that both jobs are important and that we have a lot in common. And so we had several gatherings, one a year, where we brought people from urban and rural and industry and folks that stayed at home and worked and really focused on how do we become better and more. And
Mhm.
it was really successful. I'm sorry that we haven't really continued since then, but it has definitely, I think, motivated some of us to go on and sit on other boards and be involved in other things. For instance, right now I'm the chair of the Montana Chamber Board,
Oh,
and
okay.
and so really getting women to know that there's a balance. It's
Hmm.
not always a straight balance, but you definitely need some self-care. You need to be comfortable saying you need time at home if you have a family,
Yeah.
and that you can give back.
Hmm.
So all very positive outcomes of being part of Women Leading Montana.
No, definitely. Can you talk about your time as a part of the board of Montana Chamber?
Yeah, so I've been on the board for the Montana Chamber for 4 years, and this year is my first year of being the chair of that board. We
Oh,
are about a 20-person board. We try to cover all sectors of the Montana economy. We work really hard on our pillars, which are workforce and infrastructure and tax base and tort reform.
mm,
And so, one of the things I'm most excited about on workforce is the Montana Foundation, which is a separate entity and has their own board. But we raise a lot of money for entrepreneurship in schools. And
oh,
there's a
wonderful.
high school challenge now that's an entrepreneurial challenge that gives out money for high school students, and really trying to be thoughtful on getting kids to think outside
Yeah.
the box and want to open their own business and think about how private business works. And I think
Mm.
that's a really important thing for STEM and code girls as well.
Oh, definitely. Well, that's what co-girls, I mean, we teach girls how to program, obviously. But then also half of our program is just teaching them about the business side. And the girls put
Yes,
together a business plan and do market research and user analysis. So yeah, definitely. We love supporting that at co-girls and seeing the little
excellent.
girls do that too. Yeah. So as we kind of wrap up here, what's one piece of advice you'd give to somebody going into your field?
I don't know if it'd be specific to my field,
Mm.
but I think one piece of advice I would give all young folks is to really find out what you're passionate about
Mhm.
and really try and follow that. And part of that is really is changing for young people today
Yeah.
because you're exposed to so much more, especially with the internet. And what I find is that with my kids, I have three kids. I have a 27-year-old that's a CPA. My daughter. I have a 22-year-old that's a senior at Montana Tech, and he's studying computer science, and a 17-year-old senior in high school that wants to go into agriculture engineering. So one girl and two boys, and you don't know what you're not exposed to. And
Yeah.
so, gosh, please take the chance and expose yourself to new things because you just don't know what you're going to fall in love with or where your path might lead.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, and this was amazing.
Thank you, Makayla, and thank you, Isabel. I appreciate your guys' time.
Yeah, thank you.
Have a
Thank you for listening to this episode. Next week on Co-Girls on Air.
I feel like no day is the same, and I get to meet a lot of really interesting, creative people, a lot of entrepreneurs who are starting new things, a lot of technical people who are really smart. So it's a very interesting job for sure.